Welcome everyone, welcome to My Kingdom is Not of This World. Happy that you're here. So I just waited so a couple more of us come in. Alright, so welcome everyone, great that you're here. We continue with My Kingdom is Not of This World, and already deeply touched by the music that we were playing. It's like, this is music that is probably 300 years old in composition, but it's timeless. It is absolutely beautiful. So it's great to even use this specific time of the year, you could say Easter time, to come into a whole different energy altogether, just like Christmas. But Christmas has its own kind of celebration, celebratory, celebration kind of atmosphere, while Easter has a more serious atmosphere to it. And you hear that back in the music too, but there's something really deep and beautiful in the music that we listen to. It's like before the meeting starts today, from Handel and Vivaldi. And they were like masters in bringing this feeling of connection, of godliness, of really deeply being in experience, in fact, bringing that into an harmonic composition. So like absolutely beautiful. And so, yeah, it becomes so obvious, like God is in everything. God is in all. And with the music, it's sort of easy, because you sink into the relaxation that is connected to the idea of becoming still and actually listening. Now, if the music is really guiding you or directing you to become more inner centered, to enter deeply into your selfness, you could say, and then that is, you open up in your relaxation to a different experience. And everyone has his own favorite music, of course, that can easily get you into a deeper experience of yourself just by you relaxing. Now, this is not any different than what we do with meditation, of course. It's like you relax into the stillness within yourself. You close your eyes, you go within, you connect with what is there. You don't know what's going to happen. You're going to open up in high expectancy, or in an expectancy of you don't know what, but you do it anyway. So by you closing your eyes, even in this practice, like by you closing your eyes, you literally, for a moment, you leave the world for what it is, and sink deeper. You let yourself be moved by what you feel, and not let yourself be distracted by your attention to this world. So it is with this meeting, of course, like we come together. My kingdom is not of this world. For a moment we leave the world for what it is. We go back to it afterwards, sure, we go back to it. But something, you have a possibility that something is going to happen in the moment that you say, like, my kingdom is not of this world. I'm taking a moment to come to myself and, in fact, remember my true identity. And in that is the fulfillment of it. Then for a moment I am set free of what kept me so occupied for a moment. I realized this, speaking from my own experience, I realized this. But if you get consumed by some topic, like right now in world politics, or there's so much seems to be going on and can so distract you, and you get so absorbed, it drives you crazy in a certain sense. This is my experience. It drives you nuts, and because of all the options that are open, and all the expectations that are put out, and all the dreams that are clashing and are in complete chaos and in complete conflict, seeing that really is only a reflection of what you are thinking. And so releasing myself, releasing my attention from that, giving myself a break in that by just doing my meditation in the morning, by taking times during the day, taking time to just come to myself, is then a real treat. It's a real treat. Like, you need that in order to stay, in fact, stay centered. Now this is basically also an introduction to the specific subject of today, and that's the simplicity of the healing truth. Now that's really interesting. Like, Joel will mention examples, so I will not get into that right now, but the simplicity of the healing principles is simple. It is really simple. It's like, that's not the thing. That the healing part is the simple part. The complexity comes in with you having ideas about everything, and not wanting to release those ideas since you have given them value. Now Joel is today helping us to straighten that out and to receive some guidance in how do you deal with this in the first place. Like, okay, truth is simple, and healing, the healing principles, when it comes down to it, are simple. But oh man, there's a lot that needs to go first before I really can see the simplicity that it is. Like, the complexion of complexity is really an ego thing. Of course, it's like you complicate everything because you try to bring it to an first you see everything that you see, then you try to combine it and put it together as to make some kind of total story of it, while you're actually looking through a keyhole and you're not sure what you see at all. Putting that all together, it brings you to a view that is so limited that really cannot solve anything, or that really doesn't tell you anything about yourself or about the so-called situation that you think you're in. And then you're trying to solve your problems at the same time, or looking for a solution, while the basis was already like very limited. Now you're going to look for a solution, and the outcome of that is another problem, and you try to do the same thing, and here we circle around in the human destiny of limitation, of suffering, and of pain and illness and disease and disaster, and you name it all. It's like, that's in a nutshell the complexity that we set up for ourselves, and we believe that to be true, and at the same time it becomes literally impossible to receive or perceive something else until the moment that you can stop for just a moment, stop all your concepts and say, like, whoa, this is enough. This is not going to bring me anywhere. I want to know the truth, so I have to become quiet. In the stillness, in my recognition of the totality of this instant, of this moment that is given to God, from God, given to God, by me, given to God, opening my receptivity to have a different experience of all of it, now something can happen. Now suddenly my consciousness is open to receive, instead of trying to determine and direct and possess and compare and analyze and all the stuff that an ego mind does. So this is great. Now we practice this today first with Joel. In the talk that we're listening to, Joel refers to a poem of Mr. Burroughs, John Burroughs. And whenever he references a poet, I'm always tempted to use it in the meditation. So that's what I'm going to do today too. So this is the poem "Waiting." And Joel says the one very specific thing about this is a sentence. Is a very specific sentence. And I will mention it in a second when I read it, because it has to do with who is actually speaking in this poem. That is where this is about. Now you suddenly hear, in fact, the voice of God speaking to you. Mine own will come to me. That was the sentence. Mine own will come to me. This is God speaking to you. Mine own is coming to me. It should be expressed with a capital M. And if you look at how the ones that put it down on paper somewhere, they forget to make a capital M on it. So it's like then you miss the real intent, because the discovery in this poem that we're listening to is about this, that mine own come to me, that God is speaking to you in that. You don't want to miss that, because then you're already lost again in a superficial kind of way. So anyway, we start with Waiting from John Burroughs. Waiting. Serene, I fold my hands and wait, nor care for wind or tide or sea. I rave no more against time or fate, for lo, my own shall come to me. I stay my haste, I make delays, for what avails this eager pace? I stand amid the eternal ways, and what is mine shall know my face. Asleep, awake, by night or day, the friends I seek are seeking me. No wind can drive my bark astray, nor change the tide of destiny. What matter if I stand alone? I wait with joy the coming years. My heart shall reap where it has sown, and garner up its fruits of tears. The waters know their own and draw the brook that springs in yonder heights. So flows the good with equal law into the soul of pure delights. The stars come nightly to the sky, the tidal wave unto the sea. Nor time, nor space, nor deep, nor high can keep my own away from me.
En attendant. Serein, je croise les mains et j'attends, sans me soucier du vent, de la marée ou de la mer. Je ne m'insurge plus contre le temps ou le destin, car voici, ce qui m'appartient viendra à moi. Je retarde ma hâte, je prends mon temps. Car à quoi sert cette course effrénée? Je me tiens au milieu des voies éternelles, et ce qui m'appartient reconnaîtra ma face. Endormi, éveillé, de nuit ou de jour, les amis que je cherche me cherchent aussi. Aucun vent ne peut détourner ma barque, ni changer le cours du destin. Qu'importe si je me tiens seul. J'attends avec joie les années à venir. Mon cœur moissonnera là où il a semé et récoltera les fruits de ses larmes. Les eaux reconnaissent les leurs et attirent le ruisseau qui jaillit dans les hauteurs lointaines. Ainsi coule le bien selon une loi légale, vers l'âme du pur délice. Les étoiles viennent chaque nuit dans le ciel. La marée déferle sur la mer. Ni le temps, ni l'espace, ni les profondeurs, ni les hauteurs ne peuvent m'éloigner de ce qui m'appartient.
Thank you. That's a great poem. I love it. I love it when Joel references the poets from his time or a little before. I love it. So today we continue then with the simplicity, and I'll introduce some questions that Joel brings up because that directs literally where we're going with the talk, and they're interesting to take a look at. So I'll bring it up right away so we know, you know what we're talking about. And Joel says somewhere like beyond the middle of the talk, the part that we're actually going to listen to. Therefore, the whole of the spiritual path is an internal struggle that takes place within our own consciousness. It isn't what's wrong with the world. There is nothing wrong with the world. What is wrong with my concept of the world? What is wrong with my concept of the world? How am I beholding the world? So that's the question, that is some of the questions that Joel brings in. It's like there's nothing wrong with the world. No, what is wrong with my concept of the world? How am I looking at this world? What do I expect from it? What do I think it is? How am I beholding the world? Am I seeing Jesus as a resurrected Hebrew prophet? Now he gives an example. Am I seeing Jesus as a resurrected Hebrew prophet? Or am I seeing Jesus as Peter saw him as the Christ? Am I seeing a man as a mortal? Or am I recognizing Christ incarnate? Do you see the difference? And it is as simple as this, and it is as difficult as this. Like, who is the one that you're meeting? Do you see him as a mortal? Now this is a good one. Like, well, how do you look at yourself? How do you look at your neighbor? And that's what this is about. It's like loving your neighbor entails this, how are you seeing your neighbor? Because if you're seeing your neighbor as a mortal, then in fact you're lost in hell, because yes, then he becomes that for you. But if you see him aright, you actually recognize he's your savior, like he sets you free of any kind of human idea about yourself. So that is huge. And so he, in that sense, he becomes your savior. You see him as a whole part of yourself, instead of a separate human being in a separate space, in a separate world, or in a separate country with a different language and all this. Like, all of that has nothing to do with the reality of who's in front of you. Loving your brother as yourself has everything to do with recognizing who you truly are, through recognizing who your brother truly is. So that makes it very simple. That's why Joel says this is a healing principle, but it's very simple, and yet it's very difficult. Apparently it takes some time to learn this, to actually allow this vision that you have to be changed, that you suddenly can see your brother as your savior. Like, how do you know that you see your brother right? Well, this is like, then there's no chatter going on about your brother, or no projection of ideas, no judgment. But you literally recognize your best friend in the one that you're meeting. So this is incredible. Like, there's nothing wrong with the world. If you take time, like, this is depending on you, it's not depending on anyone else. If you take time to in fact come to the recognition of who you are dealing with, who you truly are yourself, how you can be present in this moment, that changes your whole world. That changes everything that you had as an idea. Now, the normal human tendency is not to take time to let that change occur, to let in fact the healing occur in yourself. You think it has something to do with the other guy, or you think that it's not normal to do it like that, or you can have any kind of idea about it. This is exactly what Joel is talking about. Like, you don't take time to let a change occur. You think you have to respond immediately. You have to justify your own idea immediately. You have to attack your brother immediately, or defend yourself being right and doing all kinds of things, instead of just letting all your ideas first cave in and allow the whole situation to change, basically allowing your whole situation to be complete and whole. So that is the offering that Joel brings. Now, this is one example. Like, this is one of the healing principles, the simplicity of the healing principles. Well, this is one of them, but a huge one: loving your neighbor as yourself, with total self-inclusion, with totally taking the time to let everything be changed before you respond. Basically offering yourself time to see things aright, to judge right judgment. The right judgment is basically letting it tell you what it is, instead of you determining what it is. Is that my brother? Well, I already have an idea about it. No, that's not your brother. That's your concept of your brother. Same with this world. What world is this? Well, this world that you see is the concept of the world. It is not the world. So now we have expressions like the new world or the new earth, or which is all fine with me. Basically, it's a world free of your judgment, or free of your assumptions or your expectations. Now this world is completely new because it wasn't there before. It is brand new, by you letting it be brand new in this instant. So this, I will not dive any deeper into this specific example, but here's where all the healing takes place. So it's, what else do you think that this is? So let's see if Joel has another example. The simplicity is that there are only two important parts: the nature of God and His creation, or the nature of error in its creation, and that is all. We build our entire life on those 2 points. It's either the nature of God and His creation, or the nature of error and its creation. How can you tell the difference? What are you building in this instant? What are you building? How are you looking at this? That's what this is about. You must remember that error can appear in as infinite amount of forms as God's grace can appear. When you sit here and one letter is marital discord, and the next letter, Joel is in his office, he says, "Here, look at this, here's a letter, marital discord. Here's another letter, parental and filial discord. Here's the next one, financial discord. And the next one, physical discord. And the next one, moral discord. And the next one, relationships. And another one, business. And another one, employment. And another one, age." Oh, you go on here. Like, this is Joel, as the practitioner healer that he is like, look at this. It is so simple. Like, it's either you make this real, this place real, or you recognize I'm not of this world. So it is either the nature of God that you're following. You could say like the world of truth, or the world of illusion, the world of love, or the world of fear. It's like you choose. Every time you choose. Now, how are you experiencing this world? Are you happy with where you find yourself? Are you experiencing increasing, like incredible joy and happiness? Or is it a little different? You find yourself in discord, in conflict, in impossible situations, like very painful, impossible situations. Like this is where that is about. How can that change from one into the other? Because we want that to be healed. You don't want to be unhappy. You don't want to be in chaos. You don't want to be in pain. So here, Joel says the choice is yours. Like the choice is yours. If you allow the healing to occur, you can experience something else. Like it's not set in stone what your experience is. You can change your mind, you could say. Like you can change where you plant your seed. What outcome do you expect? You believe this world to be true? Well, you get the consequences of that. You place your trust in God and its righteousness and its wholeness and practice that, then that is going to be your experience. Like it is that black and white. So that doesn't mean that you cannot practice this and that you have to choose right all the time. But it is like as soon as you discover that you're suffering, as soon as you discover that things are not working out, the one thing you should do is to stop. Because otherwise you're going to do what I said in the beginning. You're going to try to look through a keyhole, getting an overview of what is occurring, making your strategy to get yourself out of it, in order, and basically not coming to a solution, but getting deeper into trouble. This is what you, as a human being, recognize very well. So that's not the answer. So in fact, stop trying to solve your problems that you think you have. The fact that you're experiencing these problems means that you're not perceiving it right, that you really trust in the nature of error and let that direct you. So this is where the healing occurs. That's very simple. Like there's no exception. You find yourself in that section of your mind, you could say. You make any of the nature of error real for yourself, then you can decide to step out of that and say like, hey, I need help here. I don't want this any longer. There's a different way to look at this. There has to be the nature of God is what I want to experience. Now, show that to me, how to do that, what that is. I allow that healing to occur. I'll become still. I will not try to solve my problem, but I will become still and listen and say, speak, Lord, thy servant heareth. And let that do everything for you. Now I listen. I let myself be directed instead of directing myself into deeper trouble. So that's the option here. Now we are lucky because of Joel and because of the practice of the infinite way that he gave to us. In that sense, is like here you have all the tools are given. They're very simple. They're very simple tools. Like being still is something everyone can do. It is not like I don't know what. Like it's not complicated. No, it's just sitting still, just meditating, just not desiring anything, not praying for anything, not wanting anything, giving up your desires, giving up how you see the world, giving up what you think you need, recognizing, basically allow the recognition to come to you that before you had any need, it was already fulfilled. Literally, thy grace is my sufficiency, and seeing that as the totality of what I want. My will and the will of God are one. I don't want anything else. I don't know how to do that, but I know that I want that, because my will can be very misdirected, because I think I see a need. I think I have a need. Not so. As soon as I think I have a need, I stop and get back to my practice. Stop right here. Don't try to solve your problem. No. Let a whole new vision come to you and see that this problem was already taken care of, because you are one with God. Thy grace is my sufficiency. I'm not of this world. So, very simple. Basically, one problem, one solution. That's what it comes down to. One problem, thinking that you can be separate from God because you believe your own error. Not so. Didn't happen. God is what I am. My kingdom is the projection, the manifestation or expression of consciousness which I am. And it's all beautiful. And all the appearances that do not bear witness to that, they're a lie. Why? There's no substance to them, no law to them. They're chaotic. All they are pictures produced by hypnotism. Like, we're talking images here. These are pictures. You see the picture of war. You see the picture of sickness. You see the picture of pain. You see the picture of death. It's a lie. It can never be true. So God is what I am. My kingdom is not of this world. My kingdom is the projection and manifestation of the expression of the consciousness which I am. That has nothing to do with images or pictures. It has to do with my true essence.
Entirely miracles, but they're good results. Enough to show you that you're on the right track. As you continue to work with them, your consciousness changes from a state of hypnotized consciousness to dehypnotization. And then all of a sudden you say, whereas before I was blind, now I see. This is the kingdom of God. You don't go any place to get the kingdom of God. You don't die to get there. You don't go to Jerusalem or to Rome or to somewhere else. This is the kingdom of God. This hell has become heaven. But that's only when you're awakened out of the state of hypnotism. Remember, you do not get rid of hypnotism any more than you get rid of rheumatism. You do not overcome hypnotism. You do not struggle with it. You do not look for a God power to do something to it. You merely recognize that the substance, the fabric of this world is hypnotism, and then drop it. Just as if you were to see 2 times 2 is 5 on a paper or blackboard, you wouldn't struggle around to overcome it. You'd merely substitute 2 times 2 is 4, and that's that. Or you'd say, that's a mistake, 2 times 2 is 5. But you wouldn't do anything after you said it was a mistake, because there's nothing to be done. That's all you can do. Once you've known it's a mistake, it doesn't fool you anymore, does it? All right. If somebody tells you a lie, and you think it's the truth, you can get in trouble. But if someone tells you a lie and you know it's a lie, do you have to do anything then? You don't even have to correct the liar, do you? Because you don't care what they're doing. That's their business, what they're doing. All you have to do is, that's a lie, I can't be fooled. Right? Well then, if a claim is presented to you of any nature, and you recognize, that's neither person, place, nor thing, that's a state of hypnotism. It's all you have to do. You're not fooled by it. You recognize it as a lie. It's lost its power. And the one who has come to you for help, because there is only one consciousness, they've united themselves with you, they all of a sudden wake up and say, oh, it was a lie. So the healing process is not complicated. The healing truth is not complicated. It just consists of those two parts. But attaining the actual awareness that this is true, that's the difficult part, and that's what you struggle with, is yourself. Until you can reach a state of consciousness that can recognize a lie. Until you can reach a state of consciousness that doesn't get frightened at the name of atomic bomb, cancer, consumption, polio, mongoloid babies, paralysis, blindness, deafness. When you can arrive at that state where those words do not frighten you, and you say, oh, that's a lie, then you are in the healing consciousness. But as long as these names or appearances still make you want to do something, you're hypnotized. You're accepting a lie as if it were a fact. Therefore, the whole of the spiritual path is an internal struggle that takes place within our own consciousness. It isn't what's wrong with the world. There's nothing wrong with the world. What is wrong with my concept of the world? How am I beholding the world? Am I seeing Jesus as a resurrected Hebrew prophet? Or am I seeing Jesus as Peter saw him, as the Christ? Am I seeing man as a mortal? Or am I recognizing Christ incarnate? Do you see the difference? And it's as simple as this. And it's as difficult as this. The simplicity is that there are only two important parts. The nature of God and His creation, the nature of error and its creation. And that's all. We build our entire life on those 2 points. You must remember that error can appear in as infinite amount of forms as God's grace can appear. When you sit here and one letter is marital discord, and the next letter is parental and filial discord, and the next one is financial discord, the next one is physical, the next one's moral, and the next one's relationships, and the next one's business, and the next one's employment, and the next one's age. Oh, you go on here, you can't believe all the different forms of error that come to this desk. Well, if you were going to treat them, you'd not only have to be an MD, you'd have to be a mental specialist, physical, moral, you'd have to be a financial counselor, you'd have to be a marriage counselor, you'd have to be about everything. Oh, yes, and then we have actors coming who want better parts, and musicians who want this, and do you see what I mean? It's infinite what comes in this mail. But remember, it isn't true. Only one thing comes in this mail, a state of hypnotism. That's all. It's a state of hypnotism appearing in infinite form and variety. And so, I must write to many people that I'm not an employment agency, and to others that I'm not a marriage counselor, and to others that I'm not a psychologist, and to others I'm not a minister who reforms the sinners. or save souls. Because most of them believe that that's what we are. But I say to you that we are only one thing. We are those who have received the revelation of the nature of God and the nature of error. God is what I am. And my kingdom is the projection, the manifestation or expression of the consciousness which I am. And it's all beautiful. And all of the appearances that do not bear witness to that, they're a lie. Why? There's no substance to them, no law to them. That all they are pictures produced by hypnotism. So if you see a whole city burning, don't run for water to put out the flames. Just recognize it to be hypnotism. If you see a tidal wave on the way to wipe out a city, don't run around looking for barriers to keep it out. Just stand still and recognize it as a state of hypnotism. If you hear of an infection or contagion or a fire up in the Hollywood Hills, don't run looking for firemen. Recognize it as a state of hypnotism. And then watch what happens to that hypnotic picture. This is what makes it so difficult for metaphysicians to understand our message. They're approaching it from their metaphysical background. And this isn't it at all, as you can see by that. It is difficult also for people, because of the centuries of orthodox beliefs that are behind us. They cannot catch the vision that God can't do anything. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Nothing changes in God. He cannot inaugurate peace on earth today, or tomorrow, or next week. Because in His kingdom there's never been anything but peace. On earth as it is in heaven. They cannot understand that God cannot heal a disease. Because God never permitted a disease. There never has been a disease. All that God has been from the beginning, God is now. We come into the awareness of the harmony of God today or tomorrow or next week or in this lifetime or the next. But it's always been there. We may come into a state of prosperity today, which we never knew before. But it's always been there. Don't ever forget that in all of the times of depression, there is no less gold in the world, or silver, or platinum, or diamonds, or pearls, or potatoes, or carrots, or meat, or wine, or water. In other words, there is no less wealth in the world in our days of poverty than in our days of abundance. All that's happened is we have come into the awareness and demonstration of it. There were millionaires made in the 1930s. Plenty of people became millionaires. Plenty of people made fortunes of $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. It isn't that there wasn't just as much wealth in the world in the 1930s as there is now. So therefore, how could you go to God for wealth? If you're not getting it, it isn't God's fault. His wealth is here. We are not tuned in. And the reason we are not tuned in is that we allow ourselves to be hypnotized by appearances. I had one experience with a man who, up to the Depression, was a millionaire. And who, when he came to me, couldn't afford $5 a week for room rent. And who, within 18 months after that, was the partner in a big, prosperous firm again. All during the early years of the Depression. Was there any greater wealth one time than another? No. No. The hypnotism was broken. How? By recognizing that evil conditions are merely hypnotism appearing. And the recognition is the treatment. You don't do anything afterward. It's like you look out in the distance and you see a horizon. You recognize it as a horizon. Can you get rid of the horizon? No, that'll never go from there because it isn't there at all. It's a misconception, isn't it? But even though the appearance stays there, you're not fooled or limited by it. You can get out on a ship and go anywhere you want. Merely because you recognized horizon. Before 1492, you couldn't have done that. Because horizon was supposed to be a physical condition. So you don't have to do anything to a horizon, do you? All right. If you go to the desert and you see the illusion out there, the mirage, as long as you believe in it, you're fooled by it. But what happens to it the moment you recognize that it is mirage? It falls away, doesn't it? You go right on about your business. Then it's no longer a condition, is it? It's just an illusion now. You're not bothered with an illusion. That won't stop your progress across the desert. So it is. You do not get rid of evil. An infinite way practitioner does not overcome evil or destroy evil or get rid of evil. But an understanding, infinite way practitioner recognizes every appearance, everything that you can see, hear, taste, touch, and smell as the product of a universal hypnotism and drops it. This is the secret of our healing work. This is why my own work as a Christian Science practitioner flourished for 16 years across the entire United States and made me known throughout the United States. And that is why that in the 17 years or more of the Infinite Way, we have become world known. Not because we've written books. There are loads of metaphysicians who have written books who have not become world known and world established. There were metaphysicians long before Joel Goldsmith writing books who are absolutely unknown in the rest of the world and who have no world work. Then what established the Infinite Way? The fruitage. The fact that people could write from South Africa or Australia or England or France or anywhere else and were never turned down. Nobody ever said, no, I can't take care of you. I'm too busy or I'm doing something else. instantly, I am immediately with you. Relax and rest in the assurance of my peace and of my grace. And it happened. It happened in all parts of the world, and therefore we have today 5 books and a monthly letter in German and 2 more books each year being translated and published. We already have 2 books in French, a 3rd one has just been translated, and the 4th one is starting. We have 1 in Dutch, we have 1 in Japanese. They're all keeping on in their increasing. Why? Because of the fruitage of the work. We have some practitioners who have very, very small practices, and they do not increase very much or very rapidly. We have some practitioners who flourish. What is the difference? It's the same principle. One knows the principle exactly, thoroughly, concretely, and works specifically with them, doesn't deviate back and forth, stands on these 2 factors of our principle, the nature of God and my kingdom and the nature of evil and its world, and stands fast in that until they develop such a consciousness of it that they're not fooled by appearances. They don't sympathize, they don't pity. They have a human understanding because they know that in our ignorance we were the same as the rest of the world. So that we never lose that compassion that realizes that as long as they're hypnotized, they're going to know good and evil. That is why we cannot rejoice over good health, because good health can drop dead tomorrow. Okay? The only good health that you must attain is the health that comes through the realization of your own identity as I am, and the fact that the rest of this world is a hypnotic experience, and drop it. Do not be concerned with it. Do not fight it. Why do you think the Master taught, resist not evil? Would he have done that if you have to fight error? Resist not evil. Put up thy sword. Those who live by the sword will die by it. Those who live by fighting evil are going to die by that evil. Once you enter the kingdom of God and realize a spiritual peace, you will at the same time realize that you never had an enemy in any form. All you ever were faced with was an hypnotic world, a world of which the substance was hypnotism. And you were fooled by the pictures formed by hypnotism. And one day you were fooled by a fire, and one day by tidal waves, and the next day by volcanoes, and the next day by epidemics, and the next day by unhappinesses, and the next day by poverties. And every day hypnotism formed a new picture for you. And as fast as you got out of one picture, it produced another picture. But if you lay the axe at the root and say, you'll not fool me again. I know the fabric of this world is nothingness. The fabric of this world is hypnotism. There is no law to any of its pictures. No law of disease, no law of health. The only law there is, I am, for I am the law. There is no law operating in me, on me, or through me, for I myself am the law. There is no good can come to me, for I am is the only good. No peace can come to me. My peace give I unto you, who do not know this truth. Nobody has any peace to give me. Nobody has any prosperity to give me. Nobody has any health to give me. Nobody has any love to give me. I am love. And that is why, writing once on the subject of companionship, I said, you cannot get companionship because it doesn't exist out here. Companionship is something you have to express. And when you begin to express companionship, a companion appears. But if you look for it to appear out here, it can't. And it's the same with love. Those people in this world who are waiting to be loved are going to wait 7,000 years. Because the only love there is the love we express. And the moment we express it, it comes back to us. The bread that I cast upon the water is earmarked for return to me. Love cannot come into my life until I love. Then when it comes into my life, it may not come through those I expected or wanted. Therefore, I have to give up expecting and wanting. But if I expect love, I'll wait 7,000 years for it to come. There may be a lot of imitations of it come along, but in the long run, they'll all prove to have been nothing. If I want love, I must love. If I want abundance, I must give. If I want companionship, I must be a companion. If I want friendship, I must be a friend. Why? Because I and my Father are one, and I already have all that the Father hath. So there cannot be all that I have and some left over to be out here. A Christian Science teacher used the example of mathematics there. He says X represents infinity. Well then, X can't equal anything else because there can't be anything outside of X. You can't add to X if X represents infinity. And if I represent infinity, and I am the way, the truth, and the life, is there any way, truth, and life out here? Is there any love or supply out here? No. Whatever comes into my life must come into it by means of my expressing it. For I and the Father are one, and all that the Father hath is mine, and I must open out a way for the imprisoned splendor to escape. Browning saw that. I must open out a way. When Burroughs wrote that my own shall come to me, it was because he had the vision that my is spelt with capital M. My own, God's own, that which belongs to the I am of me shall come to me. Now in this lesson, you see the simplicity of the infinite way, but also you see where the difficulty is going to be when you practice it. Because now it's a matter of self-training, self-discipline. You can't indulge yourself in the world and expect to practice this. You've got to keep yourself separate from the world so that nothing destroys your awareness and the same thing as a salesman going out to sell. In this truth, he can't go out to sell. He can only go out to give and to serve. Because since I and the Father are one, I already have it. So I can't go out to get more. And you can't sell truth. You can only give it. And so when you go out, you can't sell your merchandise. You can only give it. You can give service. You can give love. You can give guidance. You can give truth. The reflex action of it will appear as sales. A salesman must learn to go out and give. Open out a way for the imprisoned splendor to escape, and the bread that he casts on the water will return. Naturally, I don't mean you go out and give your merchandise away. I mean that you go out to give yourself. You give the truth that's embodied in you. You give the love that's embodied in you. You give the service that's embodied in you. And then the human appearance can appear as sales in the same way that in our spiritual work, it isn't possible for us to sell truth. If we could sell truth, the thing for us to do would be to appeal only to millionaires, because they can pay the biggest prices for it. But we cannot sell truth. We can only give truth. The fact that we charge for a class doesn't mean we're selling truth. It merely means that we're paying our expenses, or whatever it may be. Nobody can buy truth. They can be grateful for truth, but they can't buy it. If you could buy truth, all the millionaires in the world would have it. I thank you, but at the same time, I feel sorry for you now as you go out.